Today we're having a community meeting to get input about the master plan process for Airline Highway Park.
Tell us what's involved with that.
Well, we just need to get as much feedback as possible. A community park, and so we have 12 community parks. Airline will be our 13th park, and so a large park with a variety of different amenities. Most of our neighborhood parks have a swing and a playground, but our community parks have ball fields, splash pads, fishing ponds, just a day or more long activities. And so we're looking forward to transforming Airline into our next community park.
What would be the benefits of a community park in this area?
Well, the benefits would be access. You know, this area is the fastest growing part of our parish. And while we have community parks nearby at Highland and Forest, still doesn't quite fit the folks that live here. So the best thing is access for folks that live in this area to be able to access all the great amenities.
When people think of this particular area, they think of two things, flooding and the state fair.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we certainly, from a flooding standpoint, we're doing a lot of stormwater management discussion and really want to highlight the best practices of how you deal with stormwater, reducing the risk of flood in the communities. This park held several billions of gallons of waters during 2016, and our idea is to see how it can hold more, but at the same time making it a great recreational amenity. And in terms of the state fair, it's been held at Airline for a long time, and we do plan to incorporate the master plan to still allow for a large community event type space, such as the fairground. So it would be up to them if they wanted to continue.
A community park is a much bigger park that serves a larger area. It has a much broader variety of amenities and things to do. It's meant to be designed to entertain a family, that they can go to it and spend almost an entire day there. And some examples of that are Forest Park, which is off Old Harold's Ferry Road, City Park, which is one of our smaller community parks, but it is a great example. And this park we're in right now, Highland Road Community Park.
What kind of success have you seen around East Baton Rouge Parish with the community parks?
We have seen great success. In fact, the public, ever since we started the community park program in 2004, 2005, we've gotten rave reviews. They have transformed the communities. We've won awards. It's brought the level and quality of parks to a much higher level.
So Airline Highway Park is a regional park within the BREC system that many folks and constituents, residents know about through the state fair. Also, a lot of other programming. The air gun range is currently there in the facility, as well as a lot of other hiking trails and passive uses. There's currently 4 baseball fields at the park. And the public engagement meeting is to essentially start to share the information that was discovered and start to look at the proposed framework plan and the vision to come for the future of Airline Park. You know, it's a 120-acre park, and there's 5 key components of the park and principles that we'll share that have to do with environmental sensitivities. But the programming of the park at this point in time is starting to incorporate a 47,000 square foot FEMA safe house, event lawn, flexible programming space with athletic fields, adventure discovery play zone, air gun range, looking at boat house and kayak rental facilities, as well as a lot of wetland recreational amenities and programming. So, you know, essentially we've got, different ecological systems that support habitat ecosystems, flora and fauna, different architectural preferences and styles that we're trying to get public feedback and solicit information on. As you can see down here, this is more adventure play and discovery play, nature play components that we're looking at. And then, you know, obviously open space. Open space and flexibility is important. And, you know, obviously having the residents being able to go out and program their own park is important. as well as sports and educational amenities. Oh, I think this is going to be a game changer for Southeast Louisiana and East Baton Rouge Parish, as well as some of the other adjacent parishes. You know, it's a 120 acre regional park that I think, you know, will have world-class amenities and, you know, be competitive on the national stage in terms of other large park systems across the U.S.
Any project like this requires goals and principles, as you can see here. And so as it relates to this site, we are responding to site-specific and regional flooding concerns. We are providing habitats that support varied programming. We are highlighting and celebrating local history and ecology. We're making site systems visible to diverse park users. And lastly, we're maximizing social, hydrological, and ecological connectivity. Pretty much we have done a lot of work in Texas and across the United States. This site in particular is very unique just with the scale that we are able to work at and then the layers of complexity that we can provide some creative solutions to. The potential offers opportunity to be immersed in nature in a safe way. It also allows us to respond to flooding concerns in the area, and it provides a community gathering space that overall will contribute to the greater whole of the BREC Park system.
Behind me you'll see a number of layered diagrams that we've established based on the research and inventory that we've done on the site thus far. So looking at things like program, stormwater, ecological opportunities, and beginning to actually respond to the conditions that are happening on the ground on the site that we've introduced. So I think really with this park, we're really learning where is the water going to go and understanding that and beginning to respond to that. Where are we going to make those critical investments and where are we going to match compatible program with flooding, but not only flooding, but also with things like habitat and ecology. So for instance, a ball field might not be compatible with ecology, but it might be compatible with flooding, or for instance. So trying to find those kind of matchups is really, this diagram is beginning to spatially explore those ideas. I think it offers a really great opportunity for this part of the parish, really elevating the facility and the park itself into a community park that doesn't exist in this part of the parish, and really becoming a signature nature park. I think that has the potential to become something quite nice. Yeah. I think nature, mostly water quality, I think is something we think about. So a lot of this water is surface flowing down into the creek, and we do have designated wetlands on site, so looking at restoring those areas in terms of water quality, but I think also expanding them and thinking about water storage capacity and how much water we're introducing to the system.
What you're seeing next to me is the framework plan for the Airline Community Park. What you see here is a culmination of different programming opportunities that may happen on the Airline Highway Park site. We've culminated this from a lot of research and analysis of the site and of the understanding of which programs may be needed where and why. We have a more active program here concentrated around a FEMA safe house and BREC Community Center. We have a central site here which is focused around a event lawn and opportunities provided there. And then a more passive side focused around history and education. And then over here we have a boathouse opportunity to engage with the blueways of Baton Rouge. We have a natural corridor that we're trying to preserve and reestablish in some areas, all hosting of various different programs. So from what we understand, the FEMA Safe House is a building site of roughly 47,000 square feet that will be used during emergency situations. It sits outside of the floodplain, so it will not be flooded. But our understanding is day to day it'll serve as a BREC community center. It'll have indoor basketball and things of that nature. So it'll have a more day-to-day use about it versus just being something for emergencies. I've done parks in other states, and the park opportunity here is really important. It's a Sorry, that's kind of
We're talking about potential.
Yeah.
All right, start it again. Tell us a little bit about your experience and the potential of this operation.
Yeah, with my experience in various other parks that I've designed, the potential here is great to offer the Baton Rouge Parish immense opportunity of program and engagement with the natural scenery that Airline Highway provides.
What you're seeing next to me is one of our high-level goals for the project, which is really about making a lot of the ecological phenomena that are happening on the site really visible to people who visit the park. The first graphic is an overlay of the existing site conditions, so you see that we have a lot of different really rich forest habitats, but that's also overlaid with the footprint of some of the flooding that the site has experienced over time. So by overlaying this habitat with the flooding, we're really seeing that there are opportunities to both mitigate the flooding, but also make the habitat on the site way more robust. These are some existing program opportunities on the site. So a lot of people are very familiar that this is the site of the state fairgrounds, but we're really trying to highlight some of the other programmatic opportunities. So highlighting the amazing trees, these live oaks that are on site, trying to find a way, the air gun range is so popular, so really trying to find a way to bring that back into the new site design. Obviously trying to keep some active recreation as well, and really working with the existing landscape to create nature trails and things like that. Next to us is just an existing site program map, so trying to orient everyone here today to the sports fields that are existing, the air gun range, some of the existing structures, and some of the existing land uses, just as a point of orientation, really. So the most recent project that I've worked on before this one was a 100-mile greenway in Atlanta. So we're really trying to find opportunities in this project to do something similar in terms of connecting to downtown Baton Rouge. We have a drawing actually behind me that speaks to maybe a regional blueway. So not only making this park a destination, but really making it have regional value in terms of its connection to other destinations throughout Baton Rouge. Oh, I think it's such an amazing landscape. It's got so many different landscape types. It's so large. It really has a potential to offer a lot of program opportunities that we might not see anywhere else in Baton Rouge, and I think that's really exciting.
Beginning the project, we start with discovery, and there are a lot of historical aspects about this piece of property and about the bayous and waterways which pass by it. On the very first visit to the site by the design team, the local archaeologist on our team looked down and saw an interesting looking rock. You know, you and I would call it a rock, but she picked it up and it turns out it was a pottery shard. Subsequently, that archaeologist has conducted a sample survey of the entire site, which revealed additional artifacts dating from Native American settlements. Some of this, they say, dates from 700 Common Era CE. So mankind has been using this bayou and the adjacent lands for a very long time. This map shows a lot of the historical activity that has occurred around Airline Highway Park right here. So we have Bayou Manchac proceeding up from the Amite River, where it eventually meets, or used to meet, the Mississippi River. It never truly connected except during flood stage. Also Ward Creek, this is the excavated new Ward Creek. The former Ward Creek meandered a bit more, but it meets Bayou Manchac right there at the corner of the park, and we're hoping that these improvements to Airline Highway Park will provide improved public access to this rich wildlife resource that we have. I think that the history defines this park, actually. Bayou Manchac today it's a division line between parishes, but historically, on two occasions, it's been a boundary between nations, which is very interesting not only for us, but it can be an educational tool to teach our children, look what happened right here in Baton Rouge. So the top graphic that you're looking at right now it compares elevation and therefore the propensity for flooding with various uses. So the park designers have identified different types of recreational uses. Those listed higher have a less tolerance for flooding, and those that are further down on the chart are more resilient and can sustain periodic flooding and be cleaned up and used again afterwards. All along the bayous, there are forests and open fields. Currently, much of this area is fenced off from the public most of the time just for security reasons, because it's the fairgrounds and the public doesn't have access to it. But when this park space is reprogrammed through this master planning process and new uses are added, that offers an opportunity for development of additional nature trails and outdoor education facilities, and an opportunity for people to really get out and walk along the side of the bayou, to launch their kayaks and canoes into the bayou and paddle along this historic stream, and to learn so much about, what we call it locally the swamp canary, the prothonotary warbler. I've seen them out there myself along the bayou. Beautiful yellow birds, and so many other creatures that are native to this area. We're all aware that in 2016, Baton Rouge region suffered immeasurable damage by a catastrophic flood, and this property was inundated largely by those floodwaters. This board and the images on it analyzed the timing of that flooding of the property, and what they learned is that the worst flooding of Airline Highway Park occurred days after the rain stopped, which is indicative of backwater flooding. The Amite River overflowed its banks, and the water flowed back upstream from the Amite and up Bayou Manchac, and it trapped the water flowing downstream from Ward Creek and from Bayou Fountain, and so the water had to go somewhere, so it overspilled its banks, and as you can see in the lowest graphic, much of the property was inundated during that flood. However, in the gray areas, you see those are the high points in the middle of the park and along Airline Highway. Those areas did not flood, so those high land areas are appropriate for construction of buildings and permanent facilities.
It's important that in everything from a small neighborhood park to a community park to a special use facility gets community input. We want to serve the needs of the community that it serves, the community that's immediately around it. And so it gives the public an opportunity to provide their input. It also allows us to hear what ideas that they have that we may not have already been thinking of.
What's your reaction to the public meetings here today?
Between this one and the one we had earlier today, we've had a terrific turnout. I'm really pleased. This is more than usual, and I think this is going to be a terrific project. I think that the word's gotten out that this is going to be a really exceptional park and opportunity.
It's the public's park that's being built with the public's money, and so we're just stewards of that money, and we need to hear what they want us to do with that money in order to give them the best product that they ultimately will use. If we don't ask them what they want, there's a high probability that if we put something out there, they may not use it. So we want to make sure it gets maximum use, and we do that by having these community engagement meetings.
What will be the potential for a community park redesign, and how would that impact the quality of life and economic development in this area?
Yeah, so we know how important parks is to economic development. Right here at Santa Maria, we have a premier golf course, and because we have a premier golf course, the property values here are higher than most other parts of the parish. And so we know by doing park improvements, we improve the economic value of the area. As you get more people coming here, you'll have more people going to restaurants and those sort of things here. So significant economic impact we're anticipating by bringing additional recreational amenities to this area.
Your reaction to everything you've seen and heard here today?
Very excited. The group, TDBG, they're a great organization who's heading the master plan. They've done parks all across the country, so we're glad that they're here. Our planning and engineering team is always doing excellent work. So we have a lot of boards around to give you information about the park, to help you better determine what you want to see done at the park, but a great turnout.
How can people get more information and provide feedback?
Certainly, if you go on our website, www.brec.org, we'll have information there. If you're unable to make a meeting, all of the information here will be online, so you can provide your input that way.